to be that 3 rows of seats meant a minivan or a full-size SUV, but it's now an extremely popular configuration for mid-size sport utilities. And if that's what you're looking for, you can consider piloting a Honda Pilot. And that's what I'm doing with the Honda Pilot Trailsport. The Pilot is the largest of Honda's SUVs, with the 2-row Passport below it, and then the CR-V and HR-V slotting in below that. The Pilot comes in 5 trim levels, all with standard all-wheel drive, starting with the Sport at $53,350, and then the EXL at $56,850. At the upper end, the Touring is $63,600. There's also a Black Edition, which is basically the Touring with fancier wheels and gloss black accents for $65,100. But I'm in the middle trim, the Trailsport, and it's $59,850. Mine is further embellished with a coat of diffused sky blue paint for $300 and an option package of floor and cargo protectors for just over $540, bringing it to $60,700 before delivery and taxes. One thing to note is that those prices are for the 2025 Pilot, and that's what's in dealerships now. Technically, I'm driving a 2024 version, but almost nothing has changed, so everything on my ride applies to the 25. The Trailsport is meant to be the off-roady version of the Pilot, and that's why I'm going to be driving this one primarily on something other than asphalt. Compared to the other 4 trims, the Trailsport has more off-road focused approach and departure angles. It has 25 extra millimeters, or about an inch, of ground clearance, and it wears all-terrain tires. But I've not driven it off-road yet, so both you and I will have to see how it handles it. All Pilot trims use a 3.5-liter V6 that makes 285 horsepower and 262 foot-pounds of torque. It also includes variable cylinder management, which stops feeding fuel to half the cylinders when you don't need full power, such as at cruising speeds, to help with fuel efficiency. A lot of automakers are going to 4-cylinder turbocharged engines that make a lot of power for their size, but I like the simplicity of the Pilot's non-turbo V6, and it has enough power for acceleration and passing on the highway. But it's mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission, which is a lot for it. It goes through the gears quickly off the line, which can often make the Pilot feel jerky when it takes off. Automakers use these multi-gear transmissions for fuel economy, but sometimes they can come at the expense of smooth performance. The Trailsport also has a smaller front stabilizer bar than the other trims, which helps with off-road, and those more aggressive tires, and these can tend to give it a softer on-road ride with a bit more side-to-side movement over rougher pavement. That's common with vehicles intended for off-road performance, and I don't see it as a deal breaker on the Pilot, but give this some consideration if you don't intend to spend much time driving on the tougher stuff. And if you're not an outdoorsy person, also remember that the all-terrain tires can be a bit noisier than all seasons and also may cost more when it's time for new ones. On the outside, all Pilot trims include LED lights and power liftgate, and all of them have driver assist technologies such as emergency front braking, lane keep assist, and blind spot monitoring. The Trailsport includes a panoramic sunroof, mirrors that tilt down and reverse, and a trailer hitch. That hitch is a standard item only on the Trailsport, but all trims can tow up to 5,000 pounds. Inside, all Pilot trims come with tri-zone automatic climate controls, heated front seats and steering wheel, and power-adjustable driver and passenger seat. The Trailsport's features also include a 110-volt power outlet, heated second-row seats, leather-look upholstery with orange stitching, and a 9-inch center touchscreen. I like that many of the controls are hard buttons and dials, including the climate control, which helps reduce distraction because you're not searching for an icon in the glass. And if something is accessed through the screen, you can bring up the menus using flush-mounted hard buttons on the side of it. The Trailsport is unique among the Pilot's trims because it's the only one with second-row captain's chairs for a total of 7 seating positions. All others have a 3-passenger second row and seat up to 8, although you can remove the small middle seat in the second row on all but the base Sport and store it under the cargo floor. Of course, that third row isn't the best seat in the house, which is invariably the story in any 3-row SUV. But although they're flat and pretty hard, there is enough room for smaller adults to fit back there without a lot of hardship. With the third row up, you get 618 liters of cargo space. It's easy to drop those seats down to get a flat cargo floor and 1,685 liters of space. The second row chairs also fold for up to 3,219 liters if you have a lot of stuff to bring home. So I'm in the Trailsport and I'm on a trail, and I've got two choices here. There are drive modes. I have it in trail. It's also a sandy road, so I could go for that as well. We also have snow. I don't think that's going to be an issue today. Let's leave it in sand. What these drive modes tend to do is they'll adjust the throttle response, the transmission response, how the all-wheel drive handles things. And in sand, I want something where if I start getting stuck, that I'm going to be able to keep driving and get myself out of it. So here we are in some sand, and so far it seems to be handling it quite well. Mind you, this is not really what I would call a tough off-road course, but then a lot of people don't do that. That's not what this is intended for. The Trailsport and the Pilot overall, it has all-wheel drive, but it's more like the idea that you're going to go, get something at the cottage. You've got a rough road into your cottage, maybe into your campsite. We're not rock crawling. This is not, Jeep Wrangler or Ford Bronco territory. So it's handling the bumps pretty well. I'm not feeling any bottoming out. It's having no trouble with the sand. And again, as with any off-road driving, you're going to be careful about where you're going. You don't want to go over, rocks or logs that are going to damage the undercarriage. So again, it's not meant for the really rough stuff. That soft ride and the little bit of the side to side that you feel on the pavement, that is where this is intended to make up for that. Where I've got a smooth ride and it's handling everything very well. Again, some of the heavier duty off-road vehicles like the Jeep, they can tend to be a little, they can wander on the highway. They've got the big tires and that off-road suspension, and so you're constantly correcting them on the highway. That's not the case with the Pilot. The Pilot is very smooth on the highway. It handles it very well. It's confident and it's well planted. It's a good combination of both. Let's try that trail mode. It could be my imagination, but it does seem to tighten up just a little bit more. Perhaps getting ready to take it over, rocks or gravel or something like that. Not large rocks. We're not crawling over them, but more of the kind of gravel that you might get going into a rural driveway or a cottage. And again, it's handling everything very well. One thing the Pilot has that I'm still not entirely stuck on is the gear shift is buttons that you either push or pull, and it's not my favorite. I guess people get used to it. I just don't like the fact that I'm always looking down at it and trying to see where they are. Another thing the Trailsport has that you might like if you're taking a full house with you is the climate control is tri-zone, and you can use the controls up front to set the temperature in the back, to set the fan speed and everything. You can lock it out so that if you do have children in the back and you don't want them playing with it, you set it and forget it. And there's something called cabin talk. Once I've activated the cabin talk from the center screen, I just speak, and the microphone that's normally used to pick up your phone takes my voice and puts it out to the back at the speakers there. So if I want to tell someone in the back seat to behave themselves or just, have a conversation with them, well, they can't hear me because I'm looking forward. And now they can hear me through the speakers, and then if that person speaks to me, well, he or she is speaking forward, so I will hear. So it's just a little nice touch. When you've got 3 rows, sometimes your voice doesn't necessarily carry to the back seat. And now you can tell those people back there exactly how to behave. The Honda Pilot's biggest issue is that it faces a lot of very good rivals in an extremely competitive segment. It's up against three-row sport utes such as the Ford Explorer, Hyundai Palisade, Kia Telluride, Subaru Ascent, Toyota Highlander, and more. It holds its own, but it doesn't dramatically outshine them, and that's where you have to test drive it to see if it's the right one for you. And while the Trailsport is the rugged and coolest looking of the bunch, look at whether you're more on-road or off-road and figure out if it is the right one for you. It's all about the right vehicle being the right fit, and make sure it is to be completely happy with the vehicle you buy. For Driving.ca, I'm Joe McIntosh. And for more news and reviews, including off-road, be sure to visit us on social media, Instagram and Twitter. And there's a whole mess of trash on the side of the road here that people have dumped, and I wish they were in the back seat so that I could tell them what I think of them. If you do go out in the great outdoors, take your trash back with you.